Hello, I'm Jennifer Witt, Director of ProjectManager.com. Welcome to our whiteboard session today on how to capture lessons learned at the end of a project. Well, I want to clarify one thing. I'm usually asked about how to do this at the end of the project, but there are little idiosyncrasies that I want to tell you about all along the way through the project, because lessons learned is one of the greatest gifts that you can have throughout the project. So to clarify why is a lesson learned can occur, it can be an event or something happening all along the way of the project, and usually there's either a positive result or a negative result. So with the positive result of the lesson learned, it's something that you've found that you want to continue doing. It's like, let's do this again, versus something with a negative result where you're like, oh no, just stop, we don't ever want to do this again. So it typically impacts the cost, the time, the scope, the quality, maybe the process. Maybe you've determined where there's a point in the process that's bad or needs to be improved, or hey, this worked really well. And it may impact the morale of the team. So when do you do this? Again, I'm always asked how to do this at the end of the project, but we recommend that this is to be done throughout the entire project. So from the beginning to the end of the project, it's an iterative process that you're constantly reviewing. Constantly reviewing things along the way. You may want to incorporate milestones throughout the project where you do a checkpoint and review. But you don't have to wait until a meeting to discuss the lessons learned. Again, you as the project manager, you're observing, always looking, always listening, always responding to. So how do we do this? Again, we document the lessons learned throughout the entire project. And we do this through a lessons learned log. So we actually keep a literal log of all of the lessons we've learned along the way. And we're doing this real time, continually. And then as the lesson occurs, to document what that lesson was, and determine, was this a positive result? Was this a negative result? Is this something we want to carry over and do again? Or is this something we never want to do again? So how do we do that? We get that information through comments from meetings we have, from the water cooler. You can get great information from the water cooler about what's really working and what's not. Someone may send you an email on comments or something that they experienced and how that impacted them. It could be something, maybe someone called you, or something that even comes in through the customer service line. So being able to capture that, lessons learned all along the way, and remembering that just because you document this doesn't mean you document and just put it on a log. You're always discussing this with your meetings, your teams, your stakeholders, and you don't have to wait until the end to do action. If you find something that really works to improve a process, to positively impact this, you want to do it now, do it real time. And then for sure, if it's something negatively impacting, you don't want to wait to the end. You want to assess and you want to respond now. This is something we can stop doing now. And then at the end of the project, you want to capture the lessons learned, okay? So we have our lessons learned log. And then at the end of the project, it's one of the closeout things that we do. So how do we do this? We solicit feedback, input, comments, the same as we do here. And we also, I think a great idea is capturing this information, distributing it out to the team. You can do it through surveys, and you can also solicit feedback on other lessons learned and also have them to go back and reassess. You know, you or a certain subset of your team or stakeholders may think this was a positive impact or a negative impact, but other people may not. So at the end, kind of scrubbing the information. You can do it by focus meetings. Focus meeting, you can have your lessons learned meeting, and you can do that online now with social media. We can do that through social media channels. You can have a web meeting, you can have a conference call, or you can do it offline. If you have the luxury of being able to see your team face to face, you might have a lessons learned meeting where all of your team members, stakeholders attend, where you capture this information. Or you can go visit different sites. So maybe you have different teams in different locations, you can do that. And you're capturing this information anonymously because some lessons learned that are negative, you always want to document the result or the lesson. You don't have to say that he said, she said. You want to keep that anonymous so people will feel free to give you true, real feedback. And then once that's done, once you go back and solicit additional information for lessons learned, you want to document it, review it. You as a project manager, review it, make sure everything's documented properly. And then maybe you want to summarize the lessons. And you may actually say, here are the lessons learned. These are the ones that we found helpful. We're going to take forward and do again. These are the ones that we found had a negative impact. We're going to be sure to stop and change, and here's how we're going to change it. And you distribute that to the appropriate team members or your stakeholders. And again, being sure to incorporate those lessons all along the way. If you need a tool that can help you capture your lessons learned all along the way, then sign up for our software now at projectmanager.com.